let's get to where a lot of this dialogue is really spawning from. Glad the other day put out this tweet right here. I'll say what others won't say. Destiny's new episodes are just renamed seasons. It's way too similar cadence and model. It's a marketing tactic to rename things to spark excitement in an exhausted game. Destiny needs a complete restart. New everything. Nothing carried over. Oh, these replies though. Hold on. Glad with another shitty take. Well, I agree with the first part, but Destiny doesn't need a full reboot restart. We have the stories that we built over 10 years. Starting completely over would be completely new game. A completely new game is literally the entire point. Yeah, there's a lot of people other than that guy. There's a lot of people in agreement with him. Can I just say this though? Episodes, seasons, the cadence, that entire model, it would be received the same way whether it was D2 or D3. I'm not disagreeing with the fact that a D3 may be necessary. And I think we're getting to that point where we would need a sequel. But I do need to just say that as far as like the kind of content that we get, would I love for finer shape content to drop on us nonstop over and over, and I stay awake for 40 hours or so and die at my PC trying to do it. Like, that would be amazing to get that literally every month. But that's just not feasible. That's just not, at least not right now. It's just not feasible. And I think that episodes are very, very similar to seasons. Whether or not we need a sequel in Destiny, I think we are getting closer to that point. But here's the thing, man. I go back and forth on this all the time. I mean, do I want a sequel where we start over and we hit the ground running again and we get back on the grind? I like the appeal. It sounds nice. And then I come over here and then I'm like, look at all the stuff that I have been grinding for. From exotic weapons to different legendary random rolls to craftable rolls to literally freaking 20 ergo sums to all these exotics to class items upon class items. And I have my issues with RNG in the game for sure, but all of these have great value to me from a build crafting perspective, and to just say goodbye to them. And then not only that, the only reason why a lot of people left Destiny 1 behind for Destiny 2 is, well, you had the jump in to PC. You had the graphical jump. Destiny 1 was locked at 30 frames. So there were incentives to leave D1 behind. But even with those incentives, you still have players saying, hey, I would rather play D1. Matter of fact, after D2 launched for a year there, a lot of us actually went back to D1 and played D1. We preferred Destiny 1's PvP over it, amongst other things. And, special weapons and whatnot. And eventually Bungie ended up bringing those features and a lot more than that with Forsaken. But the point is, if D3 doesn't possess something substantially better than D2, dude, people, the community, you're just going to split the community. Many people are going to stay in Destiny 2. But it's because you're a RuneScape gamer, our loot means everything to us. I would be okay with a D3 if I can bring all of this stuff with me. And I know that makes no sense whatsoever. It's like, how do you have a fresh restart if you're going to bring literally, how does that warrant a sequel if you're going to bring all this stuff with you? This is the stuff that I love, man. I love all this stuff. But back to Glass's point, and a lot of his tweet here is revolving around episodes being the same as seasons. I would say, yes, there's a lot of similarities there. I will also say, though, and I still maintain that seasons that launch alongside annual expansions are weaker. And I hope that, Act 2 continues to ramp into Act 3 and that Revenant Episode 2 is really going to take off. As far as the motto itself and the process of unlocking weapons and grinding for things and the way the narrative is told, I would say, like, I would like it if the narrative was a bit more punchy, but that also comes with, like, hey, are you even a fan of Saint 14 and Osiris's background and lore? Do you care that Saint 14 was pulled out of a simulation of a simulation? Is Maya Sundaresh and Kiyome Esi and the whole logs that we listed to week over week last year, is that something that even appealed to you? Does that background and Lich Meat's background, any of that even appeal to you? And if it didn't, then this is definitely not going to appeal to you. I like the lore connotations. I wish the delivery was a bit better. I will say it is better than listening to those logs week over week last year. But man, that's a low bar. That's a very low bar. And I don't want to be like, yeah, we have a great story just because it exceeded that very low bar. I am enjoying the activities. I like battleground activities. I like the 2 that were added. Looking forward to the 3rd. I love the loot. I think the loot has been phenomenal. It's just about every weapon I've played with from Echoes has been a weapon we have reviewed because it's good. I think when we talk about this, I want us to speak from a perspective of like, what are our alternatives? Okay, the seasonal model ran its course. We can go back to DLC drops like we did with Warmind and Curse of Osiris. That's kind of what we're already doing in episodes, especially considering they're not going to be time gating the story, and they're going to allow you to at least get through the story in its given act, starting with episode 2. Check out Jake's post. Yeah, so this is more of a personal note from Jake though, but I guess we could kind of draw some similarities there to what Glad's saying as well. I've always valued transparency, so let's get transparent. For the first time in a very long time, I'm unsure what the future of my stream looks like. The Final Shape hype is wearing off, and this is the first time there isn't a promise or even an expected hype for the future of Destiny. So what does that mean for me? Well, this should be no surprise, but Trials of Osiris has been my primary focus since 2015. I've built a strong system around it. All my streaming numbers are up while I play it, and I genuinely enjoy it far more than anything else I've streamed. I've absolutely loved doing trial carries, which is why I've built my entire streaming schedule around the playlist. So what's the issue? Well, in order for trials to be enjoyable, the playlist needs to be populated. We're seeing what happens when the playlist dwindles, long queues, laggy matches, higher concentration of cheaters and stream snipers, and way less fun to be had. The results are me having less fun and less people wanting to watch. As mentioned above, the Final Shape hype has worn off, and there's a little potential for hype on the horizon. So I find myself now playing a waiting game. How long will trials still feel fun and we're streaming? 1 to 2 months, 4 to 5 months, only time will tell. And there's the thing, I'm extremely at peace with everything I just wrote out. As a player, I've absolutely loved the 10-year journey Destiny has provided me. I'm satisfied. As a streamer, I'm proud of myself. Back in 2015, with how much fun I was having in trials, and with how much demand there was to play and watch, I built a system around the idea of helping folks, and it helped blow my channel up. Since I've poured all my energy into streaming trials for nearly 10 years now, I've given it everything I've got, and I'll always be extremely proud of that. I'm at peace with the idea of it potentially fading away soon. To conclude a bit, I'm not saying Destiny is dying. I'm not saying my stream is dying. I genuinely believe a Destiny 3 will come out one day, and I believe the hardcore players will continue to play between now and then. As for my stream, I have an incredible community, and I know I can continue to do whatever I want on Twitch and still have the support of the Jungle Squad. If you got this far, I appreciate you taking the time to read. Yeah, dude, who would have thought though? Who would? No, I mean, when you think about it though, 10 years ago when you picked up Destiny for the first time during the beta, who would have thought we would have been playing this game for the next 10 years? I didn't even play the beta. I was playing Final Fantasy, and I remember talking to some friends, and they were like, dude, it's the best game I've ever played in my life. And I was like, whoa, really? And I still didn't pre-order it. I was like, eh. And it wasn't until the game actually dropped day one that like the day before it dropped, I bought it and then played it the day it came out. And yeah, man, it had its problems. Destiny has definitely had some very high highs and some extremely low lows. But it's been a great game, and it's lasted way longer than I ever anticipated. As far as I think the main point that he's bringing up is like, there's no expected future hype. I mean, I think this really just comes down to Bungie and what they're going to be doing with Frontiers. You know, I don't know what Frontiers is going to be outside of what we're speculating with us, you know, getting on the Dreadnought and going to another solar system. I don't know if that's Frontiers is the, you know, the transition period from now until D3. I'm not sure. All right. I guess this kind of boils down to, man, dude, it's such a weird thing. It's like, even though Lightfall, we had its problems with Lightfall for sure. The Final Shape had all this hype building up to it. And, you know, we were preparing for war, man. We were preparing to take on the Witness. And like, will we ever get back to that moment again? I mean, it's a high that you get addicted to. And that's just the way, you know, I think that's the way every storyline ever is that are great storylines. You know, you have your buildups, then you have your peaks, and then there's like a feeling of emptiness. And I will say, just kind of observing the community, there's kind of like this feeling of emptiness, maybe feeling of like lack of motivation since the Final Shape is over. And I think a large part of that is due to the fact that, you know, you could say it's because of episodes. You could say that it, you know, the seasonal cadence, but you could also just say that we just came off of a hell of a high from the Final Shape narrative to the day one raid, Salvation's Edge, Prismatic, exotic class items. I mean, dude, that's a hell of a high. It's almost like reading a really good book or watching a really good show. You know it's a really good show or a good book whenever you finish it and you're depressed. I know it sounds terrible, but like when it hits and you know it hits, you feel it the days and weeks after. You almost just feel this sadness that comes over you, like, man, that was an experience. And it almost like it sets in like, will I ever get an experience like that ever again? It's the unfortunate downside to experiencing greatness. And I have experienced that before, where good works of art have had just ripped my stomach out. A perfect comparison for that is Elden Ring. I had not played Elden Ring, but for just a little bit when it first came out. And then a few weeks ago, the DLC rolled out. We played it. We played the DLC. And dude, when I finished that game, I felt kind of empty, man. It kind of messed me up. I was like, wow, I'm never going to be able to experience that first time. And I remember y'all came in the stream and said it. Y'all were like, enjoy it. You're experiencing this for the first time. And then one of you even mentioned, you said, I envy you experiencing this for the first time. And I'm sure y'all have had games like that for you. I think that the final shape gave us a hell of a high, man. And all I could say for my folks that are feeling, you know, less motivated to play Destiny right now is it's always okay to take a break if you need to. You don't have to get every single weapon right now and get every single class item combo right now. Matter of fact, if you wait a little bit, I'm sure Bungie's going to figure out a better system for us to obtaining class items. So normally the people that come back get it even better. Les leaves a comment right here. The problem is that these episodes going to lead to anything, or is it just filler stuff? Oh, it's definitely leading to something. It's just maybe not leading us to the thing that we were, you know, we have grown accustomed to. You know, outside of the lore surrounding the fact that the winner, I mean, we had some big lore drops. The winner literally revealed himself to us. He literally was like, hey, thanks for doing all this dirty work for me. Appreciate you. Keep killing. Keep doing the thing. I'm all about sword logic, and you fuckers like to eat. So you're going to continue killing stuff and doing your thing because that's just naturally what you do. Appreciate you. Eventually, we're going to get to that point, and there's going to be a lot of like stuff in between now and that point that may not matter to you. I don't think we're necessarily in filler territory. I think what we're in is canon territory still. And I think contextually, everything is, Maya is important. Just like I think next episode is going to be important. Is it going to be as important as Heresy? Probably not. Heresy is probably going to be the most important, right? We're literally going to be repairing the Dreadnought. We're going to use the Dreadnought to go to wherever the frontier may be. But I will say this. If you want to skip what you perceive as filler content right now and catch it on a buy video, dude, go right ahead. You guys can jump into Heresy, or you could just jump back into Frontiers. And look, I know this is not a solution. You're like, dude, you're telling us to stop playing the game. I'm personally going to be playing because I'm here for all the contextual stuff. Like I like the stuff surrounding Maya and the lore surrounding the Vex. I want to know what happened with the Flower game. I'm willing to trudge through the missions to get that one little dialogue line at the end that's like, yes, this is who the precursor race was and what went down after the Flower game and how the Vex were created. I'm willing to do that because I'm a fan of all the little things there. Now, is D3 going to be necessary? I think at some point it probably is. I think at some point, and there are even veteran players that are like, I'm ready for that hard reset. My thing is I don't want to play a Destiny 3 unless Destiny 3 presents something that truly overtakes our experience here in Destiny 2. Because if it does not, in literally every single way, if it does not, our community is going to be split. You're going to have people still jumping into D2 and running Last Wish and, you know, Salvation's Edge and Vow of the Disciple. And they're just going to literally stay with D2. And then you're going to have the other people jumping into D3. D3 can't just be a game that's like, hey, here is more public events to grind for and more exotics to obtain when we have that already in D2. In terms of like what a D3 should present, I would probably take it in the direction of, let's give a full MMO experience. Let's take the formula that Final Fantasy 14 and, you know, other popular MMOs out there, and let's see if we could slap that in Destiny's universe. I mean, who knows? You know, maybe at some point in the future, it's like, okay, maybe a D3 would warrant 12-man raids or something like that. My question is, could we just do that in D2? Again, this is where me as just a gamer, I come to the realization I am not a developer. It's like, okay, you got your folks that are super creative. That's hence why you have creative leads, and that's their job. Their job is to go out there and be like, all right, how do we forge ahead and make something people want to play? I said last year in November, whenever the layoffs happened at Bungie, because we were on Skill Up's podcast, and he asked the question, what should Bungie do from now to the final shape? And I was like, look, I don't know, but they need to cook. And I essentially just conceded that I didn't even want to throw out suggestions out there, because at that point, morale was so low that it was really just like, dude, let the people who got Destiny in the place that they got it in, let them just cook. I mean, they did cook. Oh man. I just feel like when I sit here and thinking about D3, I would say it needs to be bold. I have no idea if a D3 is being worked on, all right? But it needs to be bold, okay? Bungie, if you're serious about making a D3, you got to be bold. You got to break some rules. You know, I mean, like crazy enough, I want to be a cabal with fucking prismatic. Okay, you know, I want to run around as a hive thrall. I want to spec out a melee build, and I want to one-hit guardians. These are the kind of things that I don't feel like it's going to appeal to a lot of gamers. And I'm just throwing some stuff out there, and I almost feel like in certain situations like this, you almost need to just vomit everything that you could possibly vomit and just see which one of those sticks. The other thing is too, you could do a big time skip. You know, would that make sense with the lore of Destiny? Not really. What about a prequel of the Golden Age? That would work for a Reach style game, like a Halo Reach. If you were like, okay, let's do a narrative driven game of the fall, not even the Golden Age, of the fall of you know, the first collapse or something like that, and do a narrative driven game. But those are one and dones. We're talking about a live service. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't enjoy standalone single story driven game or games that are based around Destiny's lore. Dude, literally, we could have an entire expansion, if not game, devoted to following the Drifter around. But that's also not the kind of game Destiny is. Who outside of Destiny players are interested in the lore? And Destiny players that like lore, like loot, and like grinding. They like obtaining things. They like getting stronger. They like making their character stronger. They like longevity. They like their character to last for years and years, and they like to make their character stronger year over year. What is the difference between seasons and episodes? You know, there's not a whole lot of difference. And I'd say the only difference really is going to be when episode 2 starts, whenever Bungie does break away from the time gates of the story. I will say one thing that is different though, where the season would start with an activity and you would have variations of that activity. After about 2-3 weeks, maybe 4, that was it. Yeah, we had Embargo Engine, but you know, I'm talking about core activities that you play. One thing that I do like about episodes, man, is I like that we started off with just Breach executable and Enigma Protocol, corrupted data. And now we've got these battlegrounds that got added halfway. And I'm not sure what the third act is going to bring, but I'm sure it's going to bring something new. In some ways, you are getting more content because you're getting more activities being added over the course of the episode. The other thing I like about episodes over seasons is the sandbox felt pretty stale in the season after about 4 weeks. Like after about 3-4 weeks, it was like, all right, so this is my builds. But with the addition of 5 artifact mods, and then here in the next act, we're going to get 5 more artifact mods down here. Like that really spices things up. And if you notice the trend here, the artifact mods are getting stronger. And that's purposely done because when you get to act 3, Bungie's essentially going to be like, hey, here's a crazy mod. Go wild. You've got 6 weeks, so break some stuff. A lot of fall off of the Steam charts. Man, that's I would say this, in my opinion, we survived Lightfall. One thing the Destiny community has shown me is, hot damn, this is one resilient community. If we survive Lightfall and the year that followed that expansion, I think we'll be fine. Is CrossFit Sad Boy streaming today? No. We got off topic right now, and I really just wanted to go over here and try out a build right now. But I sense the community. I sense the almost like there's like a blanket of like the sadness and lack of motivation to continue Destiny grinding. And I just wanted to address that today, right? For whatever reason it may be that you feel less motivated to do Destiny, I think that we also came off an incredible high, and that's that feeling that follows, you know what I mean? So I hope that tickled your balls just right today and you feel a little bit better. Or not. Maybe we just made it worse.
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.